Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. Surprise. Let me reveal a few things that I've not spoken of before, which may be sobering to some of you, revolutionary to many. Alcazar and Kryon came in approximately the same time, almost like twins. We're related. I'm also related to all of the ones on the dais at this moment. This is a family of channels. But one of the things that Alcazar brought to you, I'm going to continue with. And that is this. The concept that you've been through this before. And this that I talk about is the shift. It was brought up in the context that because you have seen it before, there would be memory. And you would remember. There would be an aha. I've done this before. I've been here before. Now I want you to extrapolate what that may mean to you as an earth reincarnate one going through an expression right this minute with Pleiadian DNA. Is it possible that there is beyond your human Akash an interplanetary Akash? Yes. And the more you awaken to these kinds of esoteric things we speak of, the more you'll realize that there is that memory as well. But let me tell you something about these interplanetary memories that have been given to you. Only the benevolent ones are the ones that you're going to work with and stick with. Are there other ones that you perhaps have had, which you then have suppressed? Are there ones in an older energy, perhaps, that have come out in the movies, in the writings, and all of these things about actual Pleiadian events? And the answer is yes. So I want to tell you about one, because I want to know, I want you to know what you've been through. We speak and have spoken this day of the beauty of the Pleiadian mothers who came to this planet as the seven sisters and give rise to that mythology all over the planet and the indigenous that you came from the stars. Interesting, is it not, that so many of the indigenous, without even knowing each other, centuries-old information says seven sisters. It's everywhere. So I'm going to tell you about those who you were. Lemurians, all. Birthed from Pleiadians, carrying their DNA and a lot of their Akashic memory. One of the spokes itself of the Lemurian teaching wheel indicated that the mothers of the Pleiadians would teach you about the home planet. And they did. Some of you remember what they told you. They wanted to give you information. They wanted to give you information so that you would know not only what to expect, but that you could survive it. We hinted at something once, and we're going to tell it to you now. Let me set the stage. You're very young as humans with 23 pairs of chromosomes. 200,000 years, a drop in the bucket, you might say. The colloquialism means that in the ocean you're simply a drop, and the ocean is the history of the galaxy. And the civilizations that have come and go of the earth kinds, humans who didn't make it, as well as the ones who did. With free choice, some have chosen not to find that which was ascension. But the ones who did have histories that also are dark. We hinted at this. Let me tell you a little bit about the Pleiadians. First of all, they are millions of years earlier than you. Millions. They went through all of the technological advances that you think they have. They've terminated themselves as you have. And the last one was spectacular. And some of you even carry this in certain kinds of memories distant in your Akash. But they were reawakened by George Lucas. Because he told the story of the Pleiadians. When they became technically advanced enough to move from planet to planet within their solar system, within their sun, they populated the various planets that were in the habitable zone for their star system. Eventually, they learned how to go to a neighboring star. That was a big deal. It may seem like the seven sisters, the collection of 9, actually, are close together. That's an illusion. That's an illusion from Earth. They're not close together. It takes a very long time by any judge of time or space or distance to get between stars. Their technology allowed them to go, and they did. But their main homes remained within their solar system. And as you might have guessed it, in an older energy, even with high technology, which has nothing to do with consciousness, there were wars. And with the technology they had, the wars were frightening. We said the word before, and we'll now then tell you what happened. There was genocide of an entire planet. Sounds like Star Wars, doesn't it? Because George remembered it. And he gave it to you. These were the dark days for the Pleiadians. After they went through the shift like you are beginning, long before now, as indicated by Alcazar, perhaps 1 million or more years ago, when they started the journey to ascension and had an illumination happen in their planet, there was retrospect on what happened with the genocide on a planet they could not even go to because it was still hot and will be for thousands of years. There's a monument to that planet, and every single Pleiadian knows it. It's a remembrance of a dark time. And they will have that monument as a symbol of the darkness that they came from. There are symbols like this in your wars, but you never had anything like they had. Nothing. They went through the darkest of the dark. They went through the brutality that you went through in your darkest ages, but they went through it with modern weapons. These are the star mothers who came out of this, who raised themselves up and found what you're finding. There is a slow realization of a central, loving God that cares. A family plan that you don't know about is beginning to show itself. And as the earth awakens to these principles, it is not a spiritual awakening, dear ones. It's an awakening to common sense. Common sense that humans don't kill humans. Common sense of integrity and honesty and transparency and living together in love. That's not a religion. That's common sense. And it centers around one God. Benevolent, beautiful, non-judgmental. And that is a slow recognition. We've told you about your future, and we know because it happened to the Pleiadians. Do you think they had religion? Of course. Do you think there were competing religions? Of course. They went through what you did. And if you can go back to where they were at that crux of the beginning of the shift, it just looks like yours. Just like yours. They've come from darkness. And there is a slow awakening. Because of this, I can tell you where you're headed. But so can you. Because you remember a little bit. The wisest of you knows a little bit about what might be coming. That awakening the Pleiadians had, they changed their clock system, their calendar system, just like you're going to do someday. I channeled that things before 2012 may very well contain the label of the barbaric years, the barbaric era, anything before 2012. That is the potential, because that's what they did. This shift that you're in is new. And the first part of it you're in. Now you're still in what we will call the sweet zone of the precession of the equinox. Now that's your astrology, not theirs. It's a 36-year window to 2012 and beyond. 18 years in, 18 years out. And those 18 years from 2012 are filled with great potential for change. In fact, astrologically, and with the knowledge of what 2012 meant, those 18 years that you're in currently are where a great deal is going to happen. Now listen to this. That great deal of what is going to happen is going to be struggle. The struggle is, dear ones, the war between light and dark. Because in those 18 years, it's going to be obvious to that which you would call dark consciousness that light has arrived. And that war that we talk about, not between human beings as you would think in the past, but the struggle of dark and light consciousness is going to take hold and bring things backwards, push them forward, bring things backwards, push them forward. It's a struggle. A struggle of balance between light and dark is at hand. And we tell you this, you're going to win. Light is winning, and it will continue to. The more things are known, the greater the light will pop out. And that illuminates the darkness. Do you understand this? Anytime you have that which is transparent that comes to the surface and starts to show light on the planet, on consciousness, on civilization, the darkest of the dark is going to be revealed. And it'll hurt your heart. It'll hurt your heart. The struggle is in old paradigms and new paradigms. There's a group of individuals that are so invested in the light, who will be the advanced runners, who will go forward knowing that they're a little before their time, and you're going to hear them call, it's time to respect Gaia. It's time to bring the ancients forward. It's time to rekindle things that have been put aside. It's time to do this. It's time to do that. And you'll see them. They're way before their time. And they're right. And they're so courageous. And some of them will be beat back by a darkness that says, not yet, no, you're not going to win, not now. It's almost like they're pooching out of the bubble in an advanced way. And you're going to see them. Movements of light. There'll be laughter by others who say, who are these strange ones? Stranger even than you. They'll call them perhaps the new movement, perhaps. Not the new age. That's old. That's old. There'll be the light movement. But everything that they are talking about, everything they're trying to put together will happen. This is the way of evolutionary thought. If you take a look at some of the ideas which are now present, which are part of your everyday life, that are new, and the paradigm is cleaner and more transparent and more honest in anything, you're going to find revolutionaries, evolutionaries that push the envelope. There's going to be those, you'll see them. And they're going to be in these 18 years past 2012. That's what you saw with the Pleiades. They fought the battle of dark and light, and they fought it well. And soon generations took hold, and they started to remember. We've told you one of the attributes of the new chemical evolution of humanity is an increased DNA efficiency. That's going to create something you haven't had before, and that is something you would call instinct in animals, but it's going to be instinct in your Akash. You're going to awaken with greater knowledge of who you are, where you've been, the mistakes you've made, so you won't make them again. And in the past, an old energy has blocked that completely. We've told you that before. Because every single time you arrive on the planet, you forget everything you did and what happened. And that's why you continue to be dysfunctional in war, thinking that it's a solution, over and over, over and over, over and over. What stops that is an awareness and a higher consciousness that starts to remember it didn't work. And it won't be suggested again. Slowly, all of that will fall away with higher consciousness. The end of war will be absolute. That is the beginning of what's really going to happen on this planet. The naysayers, the soothsayers, they say, no, it's just a moment of light, you know. It's a bump of light in the road, because the road is dark, you know. In June, when the North Korean leader had the handshake and said, well, we're going to drop the nuclear program, and well, we may reunite the Korean Peninsula, we might have the end of the Korean War, well, all of these things. There wasn't celebration in the streets. Instead, there was criticism. Well, there's a trick here. It's not really going to happen. He's doing something. Because, you know, the past is the past. They've never done it in the past. And you know those North Koreans, something's going to happen. That's not real. He's just pretending. Yeah, well, 2 days ago, he didn't pretend. He invited the Pope to his country. A country that has been anti-religion. The Pope's going to visit. He accepted. What's happening? What's happening? It's a wild card. You didn't expect it. It's a wild card. That is the future of this planet, and there's going to be other wild cards which are dark. You have to see it. The yin and the yang, the duality, the struggle begins in a way that has never, ever been seen on this planet. Consciousness struggle between those who want to keep you like you were against the light that pooches out, that says, look at this, you didn't expect this, did you? Look at this, you didn't expect this, did you? And you're already seeing it in things you didn't expect. Many things on the planet that you worry about because it's happening outside of the paradigm that it always was. You know what I speak of. Here are your instructions. Hold a light. Hold a light. And whatever you see on your media, which is invested in showing you the worst things possible, hold a light. We've told you that someday there will be good news channels. And we're talking about your television. Surprise. It's already happening. A few have been operating for as many as 3 years on your internet. And they only present the good news of the planet. This is going to start increasing. It's new. It's needed. And it wouldn't be happening unless there was a consciousness shift that was able to fund it. Do you understand that? And so these things will then be fundable because consciousness is changing, even with those who control the money. And this was not predicted. There's always been an axiom that says big money controls the darkness. They're the Illuminati. Therefore, you'll never, ever see these things. Well, these things you're seeing. Something is happening, even with the money. This is what happened with the Pleiadians. You've been through this before. So I want you to remember what happened to you before, because you won. Because you won. I want you to leave with this in your heart and in your mind. Struggle is at hand. Be ready. Light is winning. Be ready. And the darkness is so obvious. You're going to see dark consciousness come at you as though people are going to believe it. And it'll be so obvious. It's dark. It's a trick. It's not necessarily what anyone truly wants. We've told you some of the things to expect. We're not going to go through that again. Leave this place different than you came in. Let this be the first day of a different kind of life. Because you know what happens. You know the end of the story. Because you've been there. And so it is.